Hello there, super women. Do you know anyone who's moody? One day they're up, and then the next day they're down. Or in the morning they're up, and then the afternoon they're down. Or they're up and down and up and down and up and down. It's just like being on a roller coaster. Well, we are definitely going to talk about that today in just a few moments. Hi there, ladies. We are talking about dealing with roller coaster moods and all the that causes them. So, this last month, and because this is the 1st of August, this month, we are talking about moods and how moods affect our stress levels. Well, today, I decided to do something a little bit different and not necessarily talk about stress, although you will hear that word in what we're going to talk about today. I decided to deal with moods. Now, moods are an interesting thing, and I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about moods and what they are, how we can deal with them, how it affects us, and also what contributes or influences our moods. But I wanted to deal with moods because we find ourselves often we wake up and we're feeling some kind of way. We may wake up and it's almost like we got up on the wrong side of the bed, or we're just in a pissy mood and we don't have there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just the way we feel. And our moods are going to affect how we interact and react to the world around us. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time today to talk about our moods, especially when they're up and down and up and down and all around, like a roller coaster, with the loop and the loop and the loop. Okay, let's talk about roller coasters for just a second. Now that I'm thinking about it, with roller coasters, you go up very slowly. It just inches up, right? And you hear that eh, 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 eh. And you get to a point where when you get to the highest peak, sometimes with roller coasters, there's like a little delay. I know in the Griffin that's at Universal Studios, they take you over the top and they stop you so that you're like hanging before it releases. Well, our moods are not quite like that. Our moods, sometimes it takes us a little bit of time to get up to a certain mood, and then we're down. And from there, it's up and down and up and down, like similar to a roller coaster. And then sometimes we do have the loops, where it's confusing to us how we feel, and it's also confusing to those around us how we're feeling. So let's get into our little presentation here. I have a little, I'm going to take that off. I have a little PowerPoint. Let's see if I can share. Yep, see, there we go. Sharing my screen. Got my screen up. Okay, so we're going to be talking about dealing with roller coaster moods. So let's start. Okay, so let's talk about what a mood is, first of all, right? So moods are part of our emotional rhythm. And when we're talking about our emotional rhythm, we're talking about how they are so intertwined with our emotions that oftentimes researchers and scientists and the people who really look at emotions and moods kind of have a little back and forth about the difference. It's really hard to pull out or extrapolate the difference between moods and emotions. But they've come up with they've come up with a few things that they feel are on target. For example, moods are different from emotions in that moods last longer. A mood may last hours or days, whereas an emotion lasts maybe a few seconds, or a few minutes. Moods are not really attributed to a specific situation or person or event, whereas emotions are. For example, when I see my daughter, I have two, but when I see my daughters, I should say both of them, I get very happy. It makes me happy to see them. It doesn't necessarily affect my mood in that way, but I'm happy, right? So I can't say that my mood is elevated because I see my daughters, but I can say that I am happy because I see my daughters, and the emotion of happiness does affect my mood. The other difference is that a mood is more of a general feeling. It's like an overview feeling as opposed to being a reaction. In the example that I said just a few minutes ago, I get happy when I see my daughters. Again, my mood doesn't necessarily change because I see my daughters. My mood is impacted by my emotion of happiness. Now, Paul Ekman, who is a doctor, I should say Dr. Paul Ekman, who is a psychologist, and one of the people who discovered micro expressions, has a blog. And in his blog, that's titled Mood versus Emotion, the difference between mood and emotion. In that blog, he wrote the following: looking at the management of emotions versus moods, it becomes significantly more difficult to regulate one's emotions if they occur during or within a mood. Presumably, a person in an irritable mood will not be able to modulate or regulate an episode of anger as easily or quickly as they would otherwise. Not only should the anger during an irritable mood be more intense and less controlled, it should decay more slowly and thereby last longer. So, what he's saying here basically is that when we're in a certain mood, if we experience an emotion, then the mood is going to influence how we regulate that emotion. And he used anger, which I thought, it made so much sense to me. When we're irritable or when we're irritated and something happens that makes us angry, it's often more difficult to control that anger or manage that anger because we're already irritated. We're already we're irritable. And so because of that, it makes it more difficult to regulate anger. It makes the emotion of anger may be more intense. We may feel it a lot more. We may express it more intensely. And it may take us a longer time to have that anger, that feeling of anger, that emotion of anger, have it to dissipate. So I think when I read this on Dr. Ekman's blog, it kind of clarified for me the difference between emotions and between moods. Now, of course, our moods are linked to our emotions. Again, as I said before, they're very closely tied together, which makes it difficult to delineate the difference, right? But when we're in a bad mood, generally we it leads to more intense negative emotions. We may feel sad, angry, or afraid with more intensity, and it may be more difficult for us for that emotion to dissipate because it's harder to regulate because of our mood. Also, when we're in a good mood, when we experience positive emotions, we may also feel those positive emotions more intensely. We may be extremely happy or extremely hopeful or extremely joyful when we experience the positive emotions, and they too may be longer lasting than they would if we were not already in a good mood. So let's talk a little bit about what influences our mood. Well, you see the list here, and there's a number of things. Stress. I told you you were going to hear that word stress. I know. Um, so stress is going to influence our mood. It may not, stress is not necessarily going to cause us to be in a good mood or a bad mood. It's just going to influence our mood. Taking a sip of tea, so if you give me a second. Lack of sleep. When we are tired, that also affects our mood. When we're hungry, that affects the mood that we're in, right? We may not pinpoint and say, I'm hungry, so my mood is really, I'm in a nasty mood or what have you, but hunger influences. Also, our interactions on a day-to-day basis, not necessarily the people we interact with, but the quality of those interactions, the reactions that we have due to those interactions will influence our mood. And then news, weather, and sports. When we watch the news at 6:30 or 5:30 or throughout the day, because now we have 24-hour news cycles and everybody has a news station, news affects our mood. And I do want to emphasize this about the connection between our mood and news. Just think about when we were in the midst of the first wave of COVID-19, and when, hearing repeatedly the numbers of people infected with COVID going up, hearing repeatedly the numbers of deaths due to COVID increasing, it caused a lot of people to have a mood that was deflated. It also caused people to feel depressed, to feel sad, the emotion sadness, to feel to feel depressed, to but also to have a depressed mood. You could say that people were in a depressed mood. When things started opening up, then there was an elevation of mood overall, and you saw many people getting out and starting to enjoy things that they had not been able to for about a year and a half. People were very excited to do that. So one of the things I often tell women is, if their mood is depressed, or if their mood is if they're in a bad mood, stay away from bad news. Stay that should be a given, but it's true. Stay away from bad news, because if you hear bad news when you're feeling when your mood is not the best, it can cause you to experience sadness, frustration, um, emotions that are not necessarily positive, and it can also cause your mood to be more intense. So, there are other influences, other things that influence our mood. And we don't talk about this as much, but there's poor nutrition. Now, I know we all believe that we try to eat healthily, right? Yeah. But even when we're eating what we believe to be healthy, we may not we may not be getting the nutrients that we actually need to maintain optimal health. So we want to be aware of our nutritional status as well as the types of foods that we're eating and how we can improve upon our nutritional status. Lack of adequate exercise. Now, um, one of the things that I shared with you, I believe, is that I realized that I was very sedentary and I had been sedentary for a long time. I'd go to work and come home, sit at my desk for the majority of the day. I wasn't getting up and walking or moving. Now I have done a lot of work doing yoga, Tai Chi, exercising almost every day. And so I can see the difference. And I can see how that has affected my mood because my mood is I want it's not always elevated, but it is definitely positive. I feel it's there's a joyfulness that I feel, which is an emotion. Okay. The other things that impact or influence our mood: physical illness, chronic pain, mental health conditions such as depression and anxiety, drugs or alcohol. And you can abuse both drugs or alcohol, or you can be dependent on it, meaning you have to have the chemicals that are in the drugs or the chemicals that are in the alcohol in order to live, in order to maintain. Medication also can affect our mood, and it happens to be the side effect for some medications. And if you are experiencing the side effects of medication, moodiness because of medications that you take, you do want to talk to your physician or prescribing doctor, prescribing physician before, if you're considering discontinuing. You don't want to do that without consulting with your doctor first. Okay, so I put this chart on here because what we want to also become aware of is that moods are a part of our lives, right? We're going to have moods that fluctuate and change. The thing is, we want to be more aware of our moods and more aware of how they fluctuate and change. And we also want to be aware of very high mood swings and very lows, going from the very highs to the lows. So if you look on this chart, what you'll see is that the blue line, the gray line are for the most part pretty steady. The blue line has ups and downs and ups, and it will go down again, but you don't have extreme highs or extreme lows. The gray line is pretty steady, right? It's very stable. It's for the most part it's around 1. It doesn't go below, doesn't go very far below 1. It doesn't go very much above 1. It's pretty stable. When you look at the red line, or it may be orange on your screen, that line goes up quite a bit, and then there's a sharp drop. And then it goes up again, and then there's a sharp drop. What we really want is emotional stability. And we want stability when it comes to our moods. So it is very important for us to become more aware of the moods that we're experiencing and how they're changing and what is influencing those changes. Because if we're going up a great deal and then coming down a great deal, it's going to affect us and our functioning. It is also going to affect our interactions with the world around us. So we want to be more aware of those changes in our moods and how pronounced they are, whether it be we're very elevated or we're very depressed. So, what are some of the things that we can do to fix it? How can we fix our mood? Well, can we fix our mood? Well, I don't know that we can fix it, but we can certainly work towards making it a little more stable, right? Because I'm sorry, I had to take another sip of tea. I'm drinking, by the way, I don't know what I'm drinking, but it's really good. Oh, I'm drinking green tea today, just so you know. It's really good. So, one of the things that I think is really important, and you've heard me talk about this over the course of our stress talks, as well as in the other types of work that I do. I talk about how it is so important to live your desired life story. So, when I talk about your life story, what am I talking about? I'm talking about your life. You are the hero of your life. You are the hero, the protagonist, the main character in your story. Every day you get up is part of your story. And when I'm talking about your story, I'm talking about the things that you do, say, believe, think, your actions, your interactions, your reactions. That's all a part of your story. Your environment is all a part of your story. And you want people to tell certain things about your story, right? About you. You also want to experience certain things in your story. When you transition from this world, you want people to share certain things about your life story, right? And so I believe it is important for us to live the life story that we genuinely desire. And how do you do that? You do that by having a clear vision for your life. Remember in January, when we started talking about stress, one of the things that I emphasized was having a clear vision for your life, as well as a clear clear mission, right? The vision is your life story. The mission is how you're going to accomplish your life story. Your goals are the actions you're going to take in order to live your life story. And the outcomes are the benefits that you receive as a result of living the story that you desire. Now, if you want to talk about that a little bit more, just, email me. We can certainly talk about that. But I think that is the first and foremost piece when we're talking about fixing moods that are like roller. We want to live our desired life story and have a clear vision, mission with goals and outcomes that are clear to us and to those around us. The other thing that we want, and I'm sorry, let me go back to our desired life story. The reason I say that is because every decision, every thought, every belief, and every action will be prioritized based on your vision for your life story and the mission that you've outlined. Okay. So the other thing that we can do to get roller coaster moods is to connect or reconnect with others. And connection is very important. When we talk about being social animals, people are social animals. We feel safe when we are in a group of people or with people who care about us and with whom we care. It's vital that we have connections. Loneliness is, I was thinking loneliness is such a sad affair, which is from a Luther Vandross song, you all. I don't know. That just popped in my head when I said loneliness. But loneliness is such a sad affair. Anyway, we want to connect with people. We want to be a part of a group. And this goes back to caveman days because in order to be safe, people who lived or the Homo sapiens who lived back then, they were safer when they were in a group, when they were with other people. And that hasn't changed. We feel safer when we are connected, and especially connected to people that we love, trust, right? And who we like and we know. So connect with others, either or reconnect with others. Two of my dearest friends and I get together once a month via Zoom. And we talk for an hour, and it has been the greatest, it has just been a wonderful time for us. And one of our friends, we talked about um, what's going on in the world. We talked about COVID, and she said, "Hey, let's just get together once a month." And it's been great. And so we do. We set up a Zoom call once a month and we connect and we talk for an hour. It's fabulous. So connect or reconnect. Go to the movies, go to lunch, just sit and chat, play cards, talk on the phone, do Zoom. It will help your mood. Also, smell the roses. And, that's just a phrase, stop and smell the roses. And we think of that as a cliche, but it is so important. Spend time doing hobbies that you enjoy, gardening, going for a walk, listening to music. I just noticed that I left a parenthesis off. I think I was going to add something else to that. But just do things that you enjoy, that you find makes you feel good. Also, set aside time for me time. I have a training. I wouldn't call it a training. It's an experience called Take the Ish Out of Selfish. And it's for women who consider themselves super women. They want it all, but they find themselves spread thin. And I actually share with them how to carve out me time without taking away from their family, their work, and the other things that they desire to do. So, me time is very important, and that helps our mood. Also, get into group activities like sports. My 86-year-old mom bowls. She loves to bowl, and she has participated in a bowling league for years, as does my 84-year-old aunt, who happens to be the secretary of her bowling league. She's held every office in the bowling league, in her league, that you can imagine. But she usually bowls in a couple of leagues at the age of 85. So participate in group activities that you enjoy, art types of activities as well, whatever you find enjoyable. Also, you can contribute your time. Contribute your time, your effort, your knowledge, your skills to your community, to your church, to organizations of interest. Because when we give of ourselves, it makes us feel good. It elevates our mood. We like doing it, and we like to see the benefit that other people get from it. And it also allows us to be with other people. Stay in the present. You know that I talk about mindfulness and staying in the present, paying attention to the present moment with curiosity, with awareness, without judgment on staying in the moment, in the present moment. Because if we are in the present moment, we are not focusing on the past, which often contributes to us feeling down or depressed or sad. And we're not focusing on the future, which often contributes to our feeling worried, concerned, or anxious. Staying in the present. And then ask for help. If nothing else works, ask for help. Because when you ask for help, you will find that people are open and willing to give you a hand or to help you to receive what you need. Whew. How about that? How about it? How about it? You heard me sing. You didn't see me dance. I wasn't dancing. I didn't dance. I did sing though, but I didn't dance because, my mood is where it is for the day. Well, that's it for today. And I want you to work on these things and let me know how they work for you. Just shoot me a line. Make sure you put stress talk in the subject line so that I know that I can pay attention to it. I'll see it and I will look. Stress talk in the subject line. For those of you who've been looking for my newsletter is going to return soon. Guys, ladies, I have some super things that I'm excited to share with you. Look for notice of those things this month. It's coming soon. I've been working really hard. And I know I've been telling you, look out for this, look out for this. I have this coming. But this month, I have a a lot of small gifts maybe. I have some things to share with you, and I'm excited to do so. So make sure you look out for that. And I'll definitely do an announcement about some of those things that I have to share with you on one of our stress talks. So that's it for now. It's getting cloudy here. I think, I live in an area where we have afternoon showers and thunderstorms. So it's starting to get cloudy. It looks like we may have a storm coming through. So I'm going to get off. Ooh, I just shook that. I'm going to get off before the rains come, the lightning starts, and the internet gets wonky. That's it for now. Take good care, as always.